Hello. Today I'm doing another programming session working with Claude Code, writing in Rust, and we're working on a font editor. And the thing I want to do today is the font editor is something I've been programming using heavily Claude Code, which is this terminal AI helper from Anthropic. And Claude has a main, this is kind of similar to the llms.txt file. And the point of this is to be like a base context layer for how Claude Code like understands what it's working on and works with its context. So basically, like when you're working, you start, like if you're at this screen and you're starting a new chat session, there's no context. And the way LLMs work is they have context windows. So there's only so much like information that they can fit in memory at a time. And when you're using, this has become so, if you look at this project, you look in the source, we have many very large modules. And this has basically just become a very large program. And that's unavoidable with a font editor because every open source font editor I have used has been a very large project. And part of the idea with working on this is that I would architect it in a way where it's less of a large project. So, like something you might compare it to would be Fontra or FontForge, which are both, they both take kind of an approach to being a font editor that's closer to like a proprietary editor where it's like a big monolithic program. But this program has always taken a lot of inspiration from Frederick Brennan's project, Modular Font Editor K, which I was like a minor contributor to and like attended a lot of the meetings and was like a user of. And I think that Modular Font Editor K does not get enough credit for like innovating in like rethinking like what a font editor can be and stripping it down to be more of a kind of like Unix style command line application. And so, yeah, that's Bezy basically tries to take that, but it also tries to be a little bit more user friendly than what Modular Font Editor K was trying to do. But part of the problem is when I'm working on this, I'm consistently having the problem of Claude Code just forgetting really basic context or not understanding like fundamental things about the application. Like, for instance, it has a config file structure. So in the Unix style config directory, I have this structure where because I'm using a TUI, everything goes to terminal output for debugging goes to logs. I have Font Spectre, which is the font bakery replacement. QA logs go to QA. I have basic settings in settings.json. And for now, like the only thing we have in settings is what the default theme is. And then we have themes, which we have our 4 basic themes. And these themes are all built into the editor. So you don't really need the themes here, but if you want to add new themes or if you want to edit these themes, an easier way to edit them is you can make modifications in the themes directory. And these, if the program sees these themes, it overwrites them versus the default. So like if you wanted to make a tweak to the dark theme, you could overwrite certain things about the dark theme here without making an entirely new theme. And then default theme in the settings dark would just lead you here. And this is something like things like this, the context, which is kind of old, completely forgets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Claude, I'm going to say, I think our main context, so I'm going to say like, I think our main context file is out of date. Can we look over the whole application and can we update the context file so it's completely up to date with what we are currently doing? Oh, I think the main. And you can like add files in Claude. So okay. So let's get this up to date with the real current state of the project. And then I'm going to say, then I will go over it and add missing stuff. Okay, so let's work through this. See, so this is a bad bug right here. This is something is breaking our TUI. We'll close that. Okay. And this is so another big bug that we need to deal with is the selection tool is just kind of like totally busted. Like I don't know what's going on here. So you see how clicking off the selection tool doesn't do anything, and using the pan tool deselects things. So for some reason, just having one in this selection bounds leaves it unselected, but like somehow if you have more, they'll become selected and they don't become unselected when you. So the select tool is just completely broken. And part of the reason that happened was because I did a refactor of the core module, and there's just some things about the refactor in the core module broke the the select tool and some of the other edit mode tools. So that's really an indication that we've got like a messy, bad architecture that we need to update. Well, let's just I'm just going to say Claude Code can just like go to town on this file. I don't have to approve every update. It's good practice to look over and approve most of the updates, but it's also nice to be able to like do user testing and use the app while Claude Code's working. I don't think I'm quite to the point where I can have like multiple Claude Codes with different agents running at the same time, but I think I'm like close to getting there. And I think I've had some audio problems with these recordings before, but I think this microphone should be working this time. So hopefully, I'd like to get to the point where I'm actually kind of like a somewhat professional streamer doing this, but I'm not gonna just wait until I have everything set up perfectly to do these. I'm just gonna keep kind of throwing these out into the void and getting better. Okay, let's see. That's still going. The Wasm stuff's kind of old. I might have to remove that. And we can kind of look. Let's look at the... Well, this is working. I just want to look at the... Let's see, what's the state of the select tool? Okay. So the project compiled successfully. Let me create a summary of the changes. I've updated CLAUDE.md to reflect the current state of the Bezy project. The documentation grew from 172 lines to 228. That's fine. I think that like the key is you want to get as much information as possible in as small of a file as possible. And I think as long as it's under like 500 lines, it should be good. So I think there's a lot of room to add missing context here. I'm not concerned about that. So core technologies, Bezy version, Rust version, fixed typo. Added Harfbuzz and Ratatouille dependencies. This is, so the Harfbuzz thing, the biggest broken thing in the app right now is I used to be very close to having right to left, like for Arabic and Hebrew text editing. So you can kind of see. Oh my god. Oh, why is this broken? So this is the text editor. And I'm going to have to figure out why that's broken. But we have left to right and we have right to left. So you see here I'm placing an olive. And of course that just totally broke everything. So let me close that. Okay, that's disappointing. The the cursor is not starting at the edge, which is something new. Okay, they added the modules. This is good. They added the TUI because that's the thing we're having problems with. Architecture enhancements, added system set. New section. Okay. Okay. So I don't see any major mistakes. So um, let's look at what it did, and we'll go over the code and try to get it completely correct with all the right information. Okay. This file provides guidance to Claude Code, CLAUDEAI.code, when working with the Bezy Font Editor code base. Bezy is a next-generation font editor built with Rust and Bevy, designed for customization, human-AI collaboration, and user empowerment. It tries to be simple, understandable, and easy to modify as a core design principle. Okay, sure. And I want to add one thing now. So I want to just add the thing about the TUI. It has, so I'm going to say it has two core foundations that are not found in other font editors. So it has two core innovations that are not found in other font editors that are core to the application. So one is a multi-buffer. So it has a multi-buffer text editor for right to left and left to right type design. A multi-buffer text editor for right to left and left to right type design. TUI TUI/CLI so it has a TUI/CLI first application style designed for working with, designed for AI type design and automated workflows. TUI CLI first workflow designed for AI and automation. I guess that's fine for now. Core technologies. Rust, primary language with focus on readability and education. Bezy, ECS-based game engine for, I'm going to just call this, let's see. UFO font format parsing. Critical. All UFO operations must use NORAD, Curbo, 2D, Curve Mathematics, Font C for compilation and exporting fonts. Font IR. Primary runtime data structure for font editing. This is a temporary experiment to see how far we can take it. If we hit a wall with this, we will have a better understanding of what is needed and create something that works well with Font C and Font IR. Leon, tessellation for filled glyph rendering, Harfbuzz, text shaping for advanced typography, and RTL support. Ratatouille plus cross-term. So this is not really optional. Like right now, it's a core part of the menu. Okay, so Ratatouille is the TUI used for anything not better done in the GUI. Okay. And so I want to add this is what I normally use when working. So I want the LLM to default to this if unsure. Okay, we got that. Format lint, run tests. And so let me check. If we've got any Clippy. Oh, we've got a lot of Clippy warnings. Okay. Check for compilers without running the app. Run the app. Best way to test the app. Code quality. Cargo format. Cargo Clippy. Cargo test. I guess that's everything. Okay. So now we're here in the architecture section. So module structure and separation of concerns. Let's see. So we have the core, which is app initialization, CLI, settings, state management, text editor. I don't love that. It's just like too much stuff. We already refactored that. Why don't we just ask the AI to think about this? So let me save this. So I'm going to say, I am so I'm asking, does it make sense to not have the CLI in core because the TUI has its own module? Also, I don't think it makes sense to have the text editor in core. So we're going to move these to keep core clean and simple. But I think it does make sense to have state management in core. Right? I'm kind of bummed that the text editor broke, but I think it makes sense to move the text editor out of core now, since it's already broken, and then once we're done doing the Claude file, I think what we need to do is like a total like top level pass on the edit mode tools. And that can do like, so the edit mode includes select, pan, which is this mode. So it's like pan and zoom. We've got this nice little zoom indicator here. And we can pan. And we've got select, and we've got the text tool, and we have the pen tool and the Hyper Bezier pen tool, which I think the pen tool's working. There's been some buggy things with it, like not. Oh, yeah, the pen tool works. The shapes tool has been a little bit buggy. I don't like that lag. The knife tool basically works, a little bit of lag. And the measure tool is mostly working, but the font just isn't there, which is interesting. And the AI tool, I think we might just move the AI tool out completely, because we have the AI section in the TUI that is basically doing all that work. So I can see the structure. Since moving files involves many import changes, let me propose the reorganization plan first. So we're going to create the CLI module for CLI handling. We're going to move yeah, that makes sense. Makes sense. I guess, yeah, I guess that's how this happened. Was we were doing the state in core, and there was so much text editor state that we moved that to its own submodule. So that's why we're in this situation. So now I'm kind of rethinking. So I'm just gonna say I am now rethinking this. I don't want to move the text editor state out of the state module. I guess we need to let's actually look at what we have going on here. So we have core, we have state. So we have app state, navigation, text editor, and we have buffer, editor, and text buffer. Why do we have buffer and text buffer? Okay. Okay, that's a big file. Okay, so I'm going to say, well, let me look. So we have core. We have data. We have editing. Text editor plugin. Geometry. IO. Logging. QA. Okay, we have the source system there, the tools. I'm now rethinking this. I want to move the text editor state. I don't want to move the text editor state away from the other state stuff. But it seems like the text editor is not. So I'm lost what the best way to architect this is. And I want to get some suggestions. Okay. So now I can see the full picture. Here's what's missing. Current text editor architecture. The text editor is scattered across 4 modules. So this is the kind of thing I really like using AI for, where it, like, you can just get like a really broad overview of a problem, like in a way that you would be like an hour of digging if you weren't using AI. So I think this kind of thing is really nice, and I don't think I'd be able to do like a full font editor application if I didn't have stuff like this. So source, core, state, text editor, state, and data structures, buffer, editor, text buffer, source, editing, text editor plugin registration, and system coordination. Source systems, system implementation. The text editor architecture reveals a common ECS pattern. Data component resource lives in one place, logic systems in another, and coordination plugins bridge them. The current split follows ECS philosophy, but spans too many top-level modules, making it hard to see the text editor as a cohesive feature. Suggested options: keep current architecture, accept the distribution. State stays in core. State text editor, systems stay in systems. This follows Bevy's ECS philosophy of separating data from logic. Pro follows established pattern, minimal changes. Text editor logic is distributed, harder to understand as a whole. Consolidate feature, create source text editor as a feature module with internal organization. Let's do 4. Text editor architecture. Okay. Okay, so I think the thing I need to figure out next is the logging. So I'm going to say a big problem I've been having recently is the logging system and the TUI breaking. And so I'm going to try to do a big update to this to just make sure it doesn't come up anymore. So when we launch the app, it starts as a TUI, and so we don't have debugging output going to the terminal. So we don't want that going to the terminal and breaking the TUI. We have so this application specs a Bezy in so all logging that go to the terminal should go to Bezy/logs. We need to make sure this system works and that we at LMs So we need to be very, very, very clear about this in the Claude file so that the LLMs don't write code that breaks the TUI, because that's something that's happened to me multiple times in the last couple of days. We need to be very clear about this in the Okay. Okay, this is good. This is putting this right at the beginning. Okay. Okay, this is good. They added the new config flag. So now I just want to make sure get status. I don't think this is actually working. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, so I'm going to say I don't think the logging is actually working. I just ran them. Okay, so the logging is not working. Let's figure out why the logging is not working. So let's look at this. V core runner, application runner logic. I found the bug. Set up log redirection. Okay. Why do we have log redirection when TUI is disabled? So I'm going to say I'm just going to say so this is a bit too complex. Like, can we simplify this? Can we just put the logs there by default? And okay. Wait, why did that run? Why did that run without logs? Okay, there is a log. So can we put the logs in config with Bezy? Okay, so this is better. And then this is run the main application. Okay, I guess that's fine. My system wasn't working because setup log redirection was never being called. Okay. So good. This is all working now. I'll say fix logging issues, get status. Okay. So now we're gonna go over here and say, okay, so now that this is working, can we go over the whole code base and make sure it's following these rules? Okay, so it found some violations of those rules. There are some legitimate ones. There's some need to fix ones. I don't know if we need this exceptions thing in the Claude file. I think I might take this out. Okay, so we need to move this stuff down. Okay, I don't know why. So we've got these two sections. So we'll just move that down there. We've got these other rules. Now the execution order thing is interesting. I think that might be out of date, but I'll have to look at it. Let me see. Okay. And this is all done. Okay. So let's actually run the application. Okay. Okay. So what should we work on next? So we have the architecture. So let's say okay. Oh, I don't love that it did that, but maybe that's fine. Okay. So why is this? I'm. Why am I not getting the TUI when I run the application? So I'm just gonna say I am not sure I need all the submodules here. Okay, that is much better. That was way too much information. Okay, so now I'm gonna say now I'm having a problem where the TUI is not showing up when I run the application. Yep, that's definitely not working. Okay, I wonder. So my thinking about the TUI is it's either just like a brilliant idea that's going to be the reason why this editor like defeats glyphs and fontra at the like high end professional level of the market, or it is just an incredibly stupid idea that um, will never work. So I don't think there's a lot of like in between there. It's like either brilliant or stupid. But that's kind of I think that's one of my strengths is I like just as a developer in general, I can really keep people like guessing, like on the edge, like is he really stupid or is he really smart? I can't tell. And I think there's a lot of power in that because um, people like um, they like the idea that they've found like a hidden gem of an idea, like something that, people like a contrarian idea, um, and I think that the um, I think the TUI idea is gonna make a lot of sense. Like, okay, so what does this say over here? Uh, Order matters. It should work now. There was an ordering issue. Let's see what it changed first. So I guess let's just get back to what we were doing. So project overview, core technologies, quick start commands, architecture, module structure and separation concerns, app foundation, initialization, CLI. Well, didn't we? I thought we moved the CLI stuff. Okay, whatever. Let's just leave it. Data, font data handling, UFO, font IR conversions, editing logic, selection, sorts, text editor plugin, font source, font IR state management, UFO point handling. That feels a little confused to me. Let's see. So I'm going to say I am looking at the at this section in .md. Where's the TUI? TUI is not working. I just see a blank screen. Okay, I'm getting hungry. I think I'm just gonna take a break from this session, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do another session in a little bit.